Have you ever stopped and wondered if one quiet habit you've done your entire life might now be the very thing slowly draining your energy, your sensation, and even your confidence as a man? It's not an easy question, but it's one we need to ask. Because after 60, the body changes, the nerves soften, blood flow slows, and what once felt natural, even comforting, can quietly start to cause harm. Not because it's wrong, but because the way we do it never evolved. I'm Dr. James, and today we're going to talk about something almost no one ever teaches men: how to care for your body during solo intimacy in later life. This is not about shame or blame, it's about awareness. Because the truth is, touching your own body is not just physical, it's emotional, it's spiritual. And the mistakes we ignore often echo far deeper than we think. One study shows that nearly 42% of men over 60 experience reduced sensation and urinary discomfort, yet never connect it to posture, pressure, or rhythm. So today, I'll show you exactly how to protect your prostate, feel more alive, and reconnect with your body in a way that brings energy, not emptiness. Before we begin, if this spoke to you, like this video and write in the comments. Number 1. Now take a deep breath, relax, because after 60, your body is no longer rushing, it's whispering. And if we do not pause long enough to listen, we mistake those whispers for silence. Many men think the loss of sensation or vitality is just old age. But often, it's not the age that's the problem. It's the habit that never got updated. Like an old record player trying to play modern music, the rhythm no longer fits. So let's take a gentle, honest look at the quiet mistakes many men make. Not to judge them, but to honor the body that still wants to feel, if only we'd give it a chance. Mistake number 1, masturbating on the toilet, and how it silently damages the pelvic region. It feels convenient. The door is locked, the room is private. The toilet seat offers just enough space to lean forward, rest your elbows, and take a few moments alone. For decades, many older men have used the bathroom as the default place for intimacy. But here's what most never realize: that posture, that position, may be compressing the most delicate part of your body. When you sit on a toilet, your hips are bent sharply, your lower back is hunched, and your pelvic basin, the area holding your prostate, bladder, and sexual nerves, becomes squeezed like a sponge trapped in a tight drawer. And when that compression lasts several minutes, especially combined with stimulation, the pressure builds in all the wrong places. One man I knew, Charles, 68 years old from Kansas City, had spent years using the bathroom as his only private space. He didn't think much of it until he started waking up 4, even 5 times a night to pee. He said, "Doc, I feel like my bladder never empties. There's always this dull pressure." But there was no infection, no tumor, just inflammation and poor circulation from years of pelvic compression. Researchers have found that prolonged sitting, especially on hard surfaces like toilets, significantly increases pressure on the perineum, the soft area between the scrotum and anus. This region holds nerves vital to male sexual function and bladder control. When compressed regularly, those nerves can become damaged. After 60, the pelvic floor, the sling of muscles holding everything in place, already begins to weaken. And when we strain it unknowingly during self-pleasure, the effects can creep in slowly. Delayed urination, numbness, dull pain, even erectile changes that feel like they came out of nowhere. But it's not aging, it's positioning, it's habit. Charles made one small change. He began using a reclining chair, where his spine stayed long and his pelvis open. Within a month, the pressure eased. His nightly You see, many of the struggles men face after 60 don't come from what they're doing, but how they're doing it. And sometimes, the harm doesn't feel like pain. It feels like absence. A quiet hollowness that settles in afterward, as if something meaningful was supposed to happen, but never did. And this next habit is one of the most invisible causes of that emptiness. Mistake number 2, rushing through the experience and how it starves your nervous system. We live in a world that measures value by speed, how fast you finish, how quickly you move on. And for many older men, especially those raised in a time when self-pleasure was never spoken about, that speed became a shield. Just get it over with. No time, no emotion, no thought. But here's the truth. Your body has been trying to whisper for years. When you rush intimacy, you don't just miss the feeling, you miss the healing. I remember a man named William, 66 years old, a retired contractor from outside Milwaukee. He still had the habit, still took care of himself, as he called it. But afterward, he told me, I just feel flat, like my body did something, but my heart didn't follow. His tests were normal, his heart was fine, but his nervous system, the orchestra that controls sensation, emotion, and pleasure, was completely out of tune. You see, when you rush, your breath stays shallow, your muscles stay tense, and the hormones that bring calm and connection, oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, never get fully released. They don't activate from motion alone. They activate from presence. And without those healing hormones, what should feel warm and grounding turns into a ghost of a moment. Empty, cold, forgotten. One study found that slow, mindful stimulation can increase oxytocin by 300%. That's not just a feel-good fact. Oxytocin helps reduce inflammation, lower blood pressure, regulate sleep, and improve emotional resilience. It is the body's way of saying, I feel safe now. And after 60, your body is craving safety more than ever. William decided to change. He stopped treating intimacy like a task. He lit a candle. He gave himself time. He even started placing a hand over his chest just to feel the rhythm of his breath. A few weeks later, he told me, I didn't just feel more, I felt like myself again. That's the secret no one teaches us. Slower isn't weaker, it's wiser. You are not a machine built for performance. You are a soul in a body that still wants to feel. When we feel less, our instinct is to do more, to grip harder, move faster, push deeper, hoping the intensity will bring sensation back. But the truth is, your body after 60 is not asking for more effort. It's asking for more care. And the next mistake many men make is one that quietly damages the very parts they're trying to awaken. Mistake number 3, using too much pressure and how it slowly numbs your sensation. The change doesn't happen all at once. It begins with a small adjustment, a little more pressure, a tighter squeeze, just enough to try to feel something again. And at first, it seems to work. But over time, this habit becomes a hidden source of damage. Not because your body is broken, but because it's being handled in a way it can no longer tolerate. I once spoke with Harold, 71 years old, a retired police officer from Tennessee. He said, Doc, I don't feel as much as I used to. It takes more pressure now, and sometimes afterward, I feel sore down there. He thought maybe it was just aging. But what he didn't know is that excessive pressure can actually cause micro-tears in the tissue. The skin down there becomes thinner with age. Nerve endings grow more fragile. Blood vessels lose their flexibility. And when we apply too much force through squeezing, pulling, friction, or unnatural angles, the body enters defense mode. It doesn't open. It shuts down. Over time, this can lead to inflammation, reduced blood flow, curved erections, and something called Peyronie's disease, a painful scarring condition that creates permanent bending or stiffness. The Journal of Sexual Medicine confirms this link in men over 60. More pressure, more trauma, more loss of function. Some habits don't live in the body, they live in the mind. And sometimes, the craving isn't for touch, it's for stimulation. For something to wake up the brain and make us feel alive, even for a moment. But after 60, the brain becomes more sensitive to what we feed it. And what once excited us may now be the very thing that's making us numb. Mistake number 4. Watching too much porn. And how it rewires the brain to stop feeling. It often starts with curiosity. Then it becomes a habit. A few minutes here and there. Maybe just to feel something. But over time, artificial stimulation begins to replace real connection. Not just with a partner, but with your own body. The images get louder. The scenes become faster. And before you know it, nothing real feels good anymore. That was the case with Dennis, 67 years old, recently divorced and living alone in Flagstaff. "I still want to feel something," he told me, "but nothing works anymore. Not like it used to." He assumed it was low testosterone, but what Dennis was experiencing wasn't hormonal. It was neurological. Pornography floods the brain with dopamine, the reward chemical. And the more you consume, the more dopamine it takes just to feel the same spark. This is called dopamine tolerance. And when the brain gets overstimulated, it stops responding to natural pleasure. Not to touch. Not to imagination. Not even to real-life connection. Research from Cambridge University shows that overexposure to porn reshapes the brain's reward system, making everyday intimacy feel boring, flat, or disconnected. And for older men, who already produce less dopamine with age, this effect is even more pronounced. That's why some men begin to think they have erectile dysfunction, when really it's dopamine fatigue. Dennis made a brave choice. He took a 30-day break. No screens, no stimulation. Instead, he reconnected with his breath, with music, with memories that once stirred real feeling. He even practiced closing his eyes and just listening to the silence. 2 weeks in, something shifted. "I felt warmth again," he said. "Not just in my body, in my chest, in my heart." My view is simple. You don't have to give up pleasure. You just have to give up the noise that's drowning it out. Your body is not the problem. Your nervous system is just asking for space to reset, so it can feel again, naturally. In life, there are 2 ways we disconnect: by doing something too often, or by avoiding it altogether. And when it comes to intimacy after 60, both extremes can quietly disturb the rhythm your body needs to stay alive. You see, your body isn't just asking for stimulation, it's asking for harmony. And without rhythm, even the strongest engine begins to stall. Mistake number 5, no rhythm. When doing it too often or not at all disrupts. Everything many men ask, how often is too often? Others ask, is it okay if I've just stopped altogether? The answer is neither a rule nor a number. It's a rhythm. And like any rhythm, when it breaks, the body begins to lose its sense of balance. I once met a man named Greg, 73 years old, a retired welder from Indiana. Still sharp, still active. But lately, he told me, I feel like I'm leaking energy, not just tired. Hollow. At first, we looked at his diet, his sleep, his medications. Everything checked out. But then he admitted something quietly. I do it every day, out of habit. I'm not even sure. Sometimes, what holds us together isn't what we see in the mirror. It's what lies beneath. There's a group of muscles that you can't flex at the gym, and most men go their whole lives never thinking about them. But after 60, these hidden muscles become the difference between confidence and quiet frustration. Mistake number 6, ignoring the pelvic floor, and how to strengthen the foundation of sensation. You don't feel it until it fails. You don't notice it until something starts to slip. The pelvic floor, a hammock of muscles stretching beneath your bladder, prostate, and sexual organs, is one of the most important, yet most overlooked systems in a man's body. And when you ignore it, you slowly lose the control, the sensation, and the power that once felt automatic. Mark, 70 years old, a retired firefighter from Pennsylvania, walked into my office with a quiet frustration. "Doc," he said, "I eat well, I stay active, but I'm leaking a little after the bathroom. And my erections? They're not what they used to be. He had strength everywhere else, but no one had ever told him that the muscles deep in his pelvis were silently weakening. The pelvic floor supports everything below the waist, from urination to arousal to climax. And just like any muscle, it can atrophy with age, especially after decades of sitting, holding tension, or never consciously engaging it. What happens then? You might feel sudden urgency to pee, dribbling afterward, less sensation during intimacy, or worst of all, a subtle disconnect from your own body. But here's the good news. These muscles can wake up. No machines, no pills, just a little awareness and daily intention. Try this. Imagine stopping a stream of urine mid-flow. That gentle squeeze you feel, deep and low, is your pelvic floor. Hold it for 5 seconds, then release. Repeat 5 times, a few times a day. Studies show that men over 60 who train this area see stronger erections, fewer leaks, and even improved orgasm intensity. Mark did 5 minutes every morning. Within a month, he felt more in control, more responsive, more alive. "It's like I turned the lights back on down there," he told me. My perspective? You don't need to see a muscle to strengthen it. You just need to remember it exists. And when you do, your body will remember how to respond. Not every mistake can be measured by pressure or posture. Some mistakes live in silence, in the moments when we go through the motions. But our heart is somewhere else. When touch becomes routine, and routine becomes numbness. And that, more than anything, is what slowly steals the joy from our bodies and our lives. Mistake number 7, going through the motions, and how emotional disconnection dulls physical sensation. Sometimes, it's not about how you touch your body, but whether you're present when you do. When you treat intimacy like brushing your teeth, something you do quickly, without emotion, just to get it over with, your nervous system responds accordingly. No oxytocin, no dopamine, no serotonin, just emptiness. I remember Frank, 69 years old, a retired engineer from Colorado. He was honest when he said, "I still do it, but I feel nothing. It used to make me feel calm, human. Now I just feel more alone afterward." Frank wasn't depressed, he wasn't sick, but he had fallen into a quiet trap, treating touch as something mechanical rather than meaningful. And over time, the body stops responding. You see, intimacy, even alone, is not just physical. It's spiritual. It's emotional. And when that layer is missing, the brain doesn't release the healing chemicals that make us feel connected, safe, alive. Without intention, pleasure becomes a hollow shell. Without warmth, the act feels like noise in an empty room. But here's the beauty. Reconnection is possible at any age. Frank made one gentle change. He slowed down, lit a candle, turned off the TV. He touched his body not like a task, but like a ritual, like self-respect. And for the first time in years, he said afterward, "I didn't feel shame. I felt human." Studies from the American Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry show that older adults who maintain emotionally connected sexual habits have stronger immune function, better cognitive clarity, and higher life satisfaction. Not because of the act itself, but because of how it's done. So here's my belief. When you move with intention, your body remembers how to feel. You don't need fireworks. You just need presence. Gratitude. A moment to say, this body still matters. I still matter. Thank you for staying with me. If you've felt a quiet confusion about your body in recent years, if you've wondered where the feeling went, why the spark has faded, or why you sometimes walk away from intimacy feeling more empty than full, I want you to know something gently and clearly. You are not broken. You are adapting. And sometimes, adapting means we must unlearn habits that once felt familiar, but no longer serve the body we now live in. You've lived decades. You've endured pain, carried burdens, made sacrifices few will ever see. So please, don't carry shame for something no one ever taught you how to do with care. Whether it's your posture, your pressure, your rhythm, or your presence, every part of your body is still trying to talk to you. And if you listen closely, it will respond again. Because healing doesn't begin with perfection. It begins with awareness, with kindness, with the choice to return, not to who you were, but to who you are becoming. If this video helped you reflect, write number 1 in the comments below. Share this with someone who may be quietly carrying the same questions, and subscribe for more healing truths and positive energy, because aging should never mean silence, shame, or surrender. See you in the next video.